savage.
But you'll know him because he was on Fox News and other outlets because he was talking about vaccines and the government and how the government wants to control us.
Yeah.
So yesterday he goes, hey, man, he's like, I've been following you for a while and I know you know what I represent, but, we don't have to just talk about fighting. I said, bro, again, I'm not a journalist. You want to talk about the gun control, which I know he's big on. I go, you want to talk about gun control, whatever, bring it on, brother. Like whatever you want to do. Now, do I agree with everything that he's saying? No. And some of it he's misinformed. And I did try to inform him on it because I think he did Ariel's show and Ariel was like, dude, you're spreading misinformation and whatever. And I think for him, he's a young man and he comes from Arkansas. He comes from the country and, guns are everything and freedom of speech and COVID. And then he has his philosophy on the government, how it's controlling us and all that stuff, which is fine. He's talking about, I was asking about gun control because he's big on Second Amendment and they're taking, he said, I do think government is involved with these school shootings. That's why I pressed back and went, I don't think the government's killing fourth graders. No. And then he goes, no, I don't mean it like that. And he was saying that the government, I think, is aware of them, could do more to stop them. And they're just not because it helps them pass the gun laws.
Yeah, so I hear that a lot from the conspiracy guys. That's all
take
bullshit.
Our AR-15s.
Yeah,
Again,
that's not responsible.
I'm not going to debate him on that, but I just told him, and he was like, look how long it took in that shooting in Texas recently with the fourth graders. And he goes, and it was a transgender guy. And in my head, I'm like, well, no. So then once he got finished saying his part, I go, I get what like the misinformation. I go, just so you know, and it's true. Like I fell into the same kind of weird space because.
Well, because you're hearing this stuff.
Well, not only hearing it, because social media, there's no journalists, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Mark could fire, Chin could fire off.
Yeah, there's no
censor.
Credibility.
There's no censor.
Check.
So anybody can say anything. So when that shooter was going on, they found pictures that looked just like him, a man in a dress. And they're like, oh, it's a transgender shooter.
Right. Because
obviously then the left's not going to run with the narrative, all that stuff, right? And that came out, and people were sending me that, like, oh, this transgender shot up the school. I was like, holy shit. Not that I gave a flying care who did it.
It wasn't true.
But that went viral on the internet. The actual transgender person in that dress goes, whoa, this is me. I agree. I look similar. I did not shoot up the school. Please stop spreading the rumor.
Yeah.
But if you're Bryce and he's not on social media a lot, he looks at that. But then if you don't look into it further, you're going to think that. So it is misinformation. But at the same time, he's also in a current culture where a younger man who's getting it from social media and there's no regulatory kind of commission to go, no, that's fake news, or we can't confirm this. Don't spread that. So he was like, oh, it's transgender. I went, well, no. And I said, also with the shooting, how long it took, I'm with you. That drove me nuts. I have a kid who's going into first grade. I have a 2-year-old. And I told him, I said, there ain't a cop in this world who could stop me from entering that school. They're going to have to shoot me in the back. Like, there's not a chance. He goes, yeah, brother, that's right. I go, but I talked to a cop. My father-in-law was a cop for 30 years. When you talk to a cop, I said, and this is what helps me get perspective. When you talk to a cop, now, did they make mistakes? 100%. You're talking about a small town, had no clue how to deal with this shooting, this active shooter. And there's certain things they could have done to prevent less deaths. But I said, the reason why he was in there so long, and he had his comeback, and I don't know if you like this or agree with it, but I said, you got to realize it went from active shooter to hostage situation. Yes. And then Bryce goes, you guys keep saying that. But there was gunshots ringing off of him killing those kids. That should go from a hostage situation to him murdering kids. They should have entered the building. And he goes, when those cops sign up as cops, they say, hey, with our lives, we're going to defend these kids. And they did not do that. And I said, fair point.
Yeah, but that's a fair point. I'm really quiet about this stuff, and here's why.
Because you don't know.
I'm not a cop. I wasn't there. I sure as fuck know nothing about a hostage situation or an active situation. I'm not trained for that. I don't know all the little variables on the ground. So for me,
I do know one thing. Talking to multiple cops, they said it was not handled correctly.
I'm sure.
But now, as far as not rushing in from the bat, that's because they were under an impression it was a hostage situation.
Yeah.
But then once
two cops shot and wounded?
That's a good question.
Yes. No, you're right. Yeah.
Okay, so 2 cops were shot.
That doesn't mean you stopped going in.
No, but it does mean
like that's part of the gig.
A lot of them thought I wasn't there, so I think everybody's got these points of view on this.
But here's my thing, being that's why I said to Bryce, I said the reason why I'm such a fan of yours, whether I agree with your points or not, I do think some of it's misinformation on all accounts, left, right, middle. Everybody doesn't know what the fuck happened. Only people there know what happened, and we get the reports, and we're like, oh, it's easy for us to come up with judgment. But when it comes to Bryce, said the reason why I like you and I root for you is because you speak your truth. Most athletes are told to shut up and dribble, shut up and fight. but you double down, and because it's natural to you. You're not doing it to get clicks or likes. He's far from that.
Yeah.
I said, the reason why I like you is because you speak your truth and you believe in it. Whether I agree with it, right or wrong, doesn't matter. You're doing what you think's right in your heart, and that's why I fuck with you, man. Now, what he said, do I agree with all of it? No, of course not. But a lot of it, I can see how people come to that conclusion.
But there are a lot of, see, the fucking problem with misinformation is this. You got good people like this kid who is simply getting the wrong information and then getting passionate about it and then galvanizing a community or joining a community and adding his voice to the mix. Okay,